And I'm also more honored that because, you know, what we're talking about is so important and so meaningful that we're able to have this much anticipation and so many people want to go see it and are talking about it. Like, that's what I'm grateful.
He was, you know, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, you know, if I lost you and I, you know, went to the park with our 3 kids, I mean, think of the ladies I get.
I mean, honestly, the way that I get into a character is through their styles.
Welcome to Popstream, where Hollywood's biggest headlines collide with scandal, and from the moment fans caught wind of a film adaptation of the best-selling novel, anticipation skyrocketed, because with its themes of love, self-discovery, and resilience, the story seemed tailor-made for Blake Lively's versatile acting and Justin Baldoni's signature, heartfelt storytelling. And early promotional images painted an elegant picture that promised fresh costume designs and playful touches to breathe new life into the novel's emotional core, but that initial wave of excitement quickly drowned under jaw-dropping legal drama and shocking allegations, culminating in an explosive courtroom twist triggered by a single phone call that allegedly shifted the entire case and exposed a side of Blake Lively the public had never seen before, and even before the legal firestorm erupted. Whispers of tension had already been circling among Hollywood insiders who claimed Lively and Baldoni clashed over the film's tone, with Lively reportedly fighting for glamorous fashion and lighthearted moments while Baldoni pushed for a vision rooted in the novel's raw emotional depth. And while many assumed such creative differences would quietly resolve behind the scenes, tensions only escalated until Lively stunned fans by revealing she felt creatively sidelined and pressured into marketing strategies that clashed with her instincts. And within days, Baldoni's legal team retaliated with a defamation lawsuit, an abrupt escalation that shocked the industry given his reputation for compassionate storytelling, and one that carried staggering stakes, with claims rumored to be worth hundreds of millions if proven in court.
Because I was looking for movies that could be commercial and speak to the human experience. And
Were you reading romance novels?
And I had never read a romance novel.
Ever?
And I'm sorry I made you feel that way. That must have felt terrible. And I will for sure do better.
What began as a simple disagreement over whether the film should lean into comedic charm or honor the novel's serious emotional core spiraled into a high-stakes legal showdown, and just when it seemed the battle had reached its boiling point, a bombshell allegation set the industry ablaze. Justin Baldoni accused Blake Lively or members of her camp of planting or fabricating documents designed to portray him as the mastermind behind creative decisions she no longer wanted to be associated with. And while neither side provided direct proof at first, whispers of suspicious email records and mismatched timestamps were enough to send shockwaves across Hollywood, where behind-the-scenes scandals were nothing new but rarely played out at this level, and as tabloids ran wild and fans split into factions, Lively's supporters leaned on her reputation for professionalism while Baldoni's defenders pointed to his long-standing sincerity, with both sides digging in as the story metastasized into entertainment's latest obsession. Yet just as everyone braced for a long, drawn-out legal slog, the case took a jaw-dropping twist during what should have been a routine scheduling hearing when Baldoni's attorney unveiled a previously unknown phone call recording that had only just surfaced, freezing the courtroom in stunned silence as the judge halted proceedings and ordered both sides to review the audio privately before determining its admissibility. But the damage was already done as rumors spread like wildfire that the call could reveal who had truly advocated for the film's comedic elements and who had conveniently backtracked once fans demanded fidelity to the original novel. And while details remain murky, insiders claim the recording captured a conversation between Lively and a high-ranking producer, possibly just a routine call logged for production continuity. Though others whispered it was something far more personal, intercepted and leaked by someone intent on reshaping the narrative, and whatever its origin, its impact was undeniable, because those inside the courtroom describe an atmosphere so tense it felt cinematic, with Blake Lively's reaction stealing the spotlight as the usually composed star visibly faltered, her expression betraying unease so raw it sent ripples across the gallery, and within hours headlines exploded with claims she had lost it upon hearing the audio. Though her camp swiftly countered that any visible distress was entirely justified. Given the context, arguing the clip had been cherry-picked, stripped from its original intent, and unveiled strategically to blindside her while manipulating public opinion, yet speculation only deepened as theories spread online, with one claiming the recording caught her enthusiastically discussing extravagant costume choices, in direct contradiction to her public insistence that she was pressured into them. Another suggesting it captured her venting frustrations about Baldoni's creative vision in a way that hinted she was already considering distancing herself from decisions if fan reactions soured, and yet another alleging the call tied back to studio executives or outside power players, implying her clash with Baldoni was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. But no matter which theory held weight, the emergence of this single audio changed everything, tilting the battlefield dramatically as Baldoni's team pounced, arguing that authenticating the recording would validate their stance that Lively had supported the comedic approach until fan backlash forced her pivot towards seriousness, while Lively's defense insisted the conversation was being twisted beyond recognition and weaponized to overshadow her legitimate grievances. And though her shaken demeanor in court drew attention, her lawyers suggested it stemmed not from guilt, but from the recognition of just how much power one selectively framed audio clip could wield in dismantling the carefully built narrative that she had been creatively sidelined. Yet beneath this spectacle lurked even bigger questions. Were the emails fabricated? Were the documents tampered with? And could the digital trail that Baldoni's camp claimed pointed to deliberate sabotage really prove an effort to smear him as dismissive of Lively's influence? Because if the phone call contradicted those documents, it could unravel her case entirely. But if the recording itself was shown to be incomplete, manipulated, or misrepresented, it could just as easily expose Baldoni's team as opportunists exploiting out-of-context material. And with the courtroom battle intensifying, the fandom in chaos, and the industry riveted by every leaked detail, one truth became clear. The fight over this adaptation was no longer about tone, costumes, or even creative vision. It had evolved into a defining clash over credibility, integrity, and the razor-thin line between narrative control and narrative collapse. The introduction of the dubious materials has the potential to become the game-changer Justin Baldoni desperately needs, with sources close to his camp suggesting the recording proves Blake Lively not only supported but actively encouraged the inclusion of flashy, comedic elements, a revelation that could make it nearly impossible for her to maintain the claim that she was ever pressured into them. Yet Lively's supporters remain deeply skeptical, asking why such a critical piece of evidence surfaced so late in the proceedings and speculating it may have originated from an outside source aligned with Baldoni or even Disney, which has recently strengthened ties with him, fueling whispers that the sudden appearance of the audio was no coincidence, but a calculated strike designed to rattle her composure in court and tarnish her credibility in the eyes of the judge. And regardless of its true origin, the effect has been undeniable as her emotional courtroom reaction quickly eclipsed the finer legal arguments, becoming the centerpiece of public debate, while industry insiders note that it is hardly unusual for major studios to throw their full weight behind a trusted director or producer when the stakes of future projects hang in the balance, prompting speculation about whether Disney's possible long-term collaboration with Baldoni could be the quiet force shaping the strategy. And if that support proves solid, it could arm him with the financial and institutional muscle to endure a costly legal war, though from Lively's perspective such corporate power may feel less like support for creativity and more like an overwhelming force arrayed against her, amplifying both the pressure and the raw, unguarded shock she displayed when the evidence surfaced, seemingly out of nowhere.
We always tease each other. He was, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, if I lost you and I, went to the park with...
Wow. There's so much I want to say to you, and I hope that we can FaceTime or see each other in person.
Fans of It Ends With Us now find themselves caught in stunned uncertainty, wondering if the long-awaited adaptation will ever make it to the screen, because what began as excitement over Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's collaboration on a beloved novel has been eclipsed almost entirely by legal chaos, shifting the spotlight from creative anticipation to whispered allegations of doctored emails, disputed comedic pitches, and the bombshell meaning of a single phone call that has already altered the course of this saga. Instead of debating which iconic book moments should survive the transition to film, conversations are dominated by speculation over court evidence. And while this has only deepened divisions, it has also galvanized Lively's supporters, actors, directors, and designers rallying around her reputation for integrity and collaboration, insisting that her history of creative contributions demonstrates she always worked in good faith, even if the phone call seems to suggest otherwise, because as they argue, one isolated recording cannot possibly reveal the complex reality of studio politics, executive demands, and shifting fan expectations that may have pushed Lively to advocate for a more serious adaptation after initially appearing to accept a broader comedic vision. Still, repairing the narrative damage from that audio clip has become her greatest challenge, because Baldoni continues to insist the process was collaborative until she reversed course under fan pressure, and the revelation of a conversation hinting she may have been more invested than she claims has tilted perception toward his side, leaving the future of the film hanging in a precarious balance where every leaked email, every forensic analysis, and every additional whisper could rewrite the outcome. And in this climate, even Lively's raw, unguarded reaction in court has become a defining image, raising questions about whether it was righteous indignation from someone wronged or a desperate attempt to control a collapsing narrative, with the answer entirely dependent on which side of the story one believes. The explosive hearing that unveiled the phone call has left a dark cloud not only over her credibility, but over the entire production, because if authenticated, the audio could devastate her claims, yet if ruled inadmissible or proven misleading, Baldoni's apparent advantage could evaporate instantly, illustrating how quickly fortunes shift in the high-stakes world of Hollywood disputes, where reputations and projects are made and broken in a heartbeat. And so what was once expected to drag out slowly through months of depositions has been transformed by one recording into a volatile, unpredictable spectacle that feels less like a court case and more like a thriller, with Lively, usually poised and composed, caught showing raw emotion in a way that stunned even her most loyal fans, some interpreting it as the breaking point of a carefully managed persona, colliding with brutal legal reality, others as the natural shock of someone blindsided by evidence stripped of the context she insists is vital. And now the fate of the adaptation itself seems to dangle on the edge, dependent not only on the court's rulings but also on whether more calls, messages, or documents will surface to fuel the frenzy. Each new leak carrying the potential to further devastate both Lively and Baldoni's public images, while simultaneously reshaping the creative path of the film. The possibility of digital forensic battles, settlements negotiated under corporate influence, and prolonged courtroom drama means the road forward could stretch out for months, if not years, with fans and critics alike scrutinizing every detail to determine whether the final product will remain true to Colleen Hoover's emotional story or whether it will be permanently scarred by the spectacle overshadowing its creation. And in this way, the phone call has become more than just evidence. It is a symbol of how quickly a project can spiral into crisis when celebrity reputations, corporate stakes, and fan loyalty collide in the glare of public attention. No matter what the truth ultimately is, the chaos has already ensured that Lively's confrontation with bombshell evidence will be remembered as a defining moment in Hollywood lore. Proof that even the most carefully cultivated narratives can shatter under the weight of one unexpected revelation, and as speculation continues, one burning question remains: can the truth, in whatever form it emerges, ever cut through the whirlwind of rumor, strategy, and raw emotion that has turned this adaptation into a spectacle far more gripping and far more consequential than the story it was meant to bring to life?